Okay, so this is new for this channel, kind of, but I've decided to start doing these sketches while giving some information about them. These aren't just limited to characters, but I'd love to start off with just characters. I've seen other people do this stuff on their channel, and I always love listening to them, so thought I'd give it a go. At this point in the series, there are plenty of characters that we've been introduced to, and there's plenty to share about them, so maybe this will be a once a week kind of thing. I'm not entirely sure. I also want to start doing polls to decide which character or topic I'll be doing next. So if you're interested, you can check my Twitter at reversed_tales, or I will post a poll on the community tab in YouTube. So yeah, I will link the Twitter down below though. Today, I've decided to start with Rollo! I promised myself I would try to avoid doing Briar, Lloyd, or Avery because we will learn plenty about them in the actual series. Trust me. So yeah, Rollo is one of my favorite characters. I know they say you shouldn't have favorites, but I mean, that's like saying you shouldn't have favorite foods or like favorite animals or favorite drinks. Favorites exist. I do want to give a fair warning. I'm rating these alone, as I do with the series, and I'm going to try my best to keep spoilers to a minimum, but I'd recommend watching the full series up until the recent episode before tackling these Doodle and Chat videos. I'd also like to say that this series is kinda dark, so there are some topics, and there are some characters that have dark backstories. If you're not able to handle serious, sometimes gruesome topics, then I'd avoid these videos. I'll try to give more warnings before I actually dive into the topics, but I still wanted to say that, just in case. Alrighty, I guess a good place to start is at the beginning. Rollo was born into a pack. It wasn't a big pack, and to be honest, I never really came up with the name for it because I didn't think I would need to. But this pack was located in the north, and it's kind of interesting because Rollo started in the north, and his current pack resides in the west, so it just shows that he's come pretty far. Back when he was younger, packs weren't split into just 4 main packs like they are now. There were actually many main packs in this area, big and small. But as the food became more scarce, so did the packs. Rollo's mother, Serena, had a pretty high rank in this pack. She was actually supposed to take over as the alpha's mate, but let's just say that didn't work out. Trust me, if I was doing a Serena video, then I'd dive more into that drama. But yeah, this is Rollo. Rollo's father, Rollin, was a hunter in the pack. It's a fair assumption to say that Rollo, even though he was living in a pack, that he didn't have the best life. Early on, a lot of the members looked down on Rollo because he was, as they would say, not supposed to be here or not right. They would also say, hey, why did his mother settle down with, you know, someone like that who was beneath her and take it a step further by giving birth to a pup and stuff, so yeah, they were not very nice to Rollo. So yeah, a lot of them didn't really want Rollo around. That included his father and his, good old Uncle Kano. Ugh. After an incident, I can't go into detail because episode 9 is like right around the corner, Rollo and his Uncle Kano were exiled from the pack. Rollin was not with them. This is one of those things that I'll leave up to your imagination until episode 9 is released, but yeah, he was not with them. Serena did not join them, and instead stayed behind. I know, Mother of the Year, so. Anyway, Rollo had to survive under Kano's not-so-great care, and they both had to get by as rogues. It only took a few weeks before Kano felt that he couldn't really survive properly with a pup glued to him, so he decided to find Serena and give Rollo back to her. He did manage to find her, but she was a rogue at this point as well. We don't really know why, but maybe I'll eventually share that in her video. Even though she was also exiled, Kano felt that Rollo would be better off with her than with him, and I mean, she was his mother, so he didn't really give her an option. Rollo was thrilled. He loved his mother, even though she wasn't as involved in his life as she could have been. The thing is, I think as children, some of us expect our parents, to be these saints, but eventually we might learn that they're not. That was what happened in this situation. Serena did not know what she was doing. It was like she had no connection to Rollo, and when you don't have the connection with someone, you don't really care about them or what happens to them, and that was kind of how it was with her. She struggled to find food for herself, and instead of putting Rollo first, she put herself first. I'm going to stop and give a warning. This may be a bit triggering for some, so if you're not able to handle neglectful situations, or even hear about them, this is the time to click off the video. In Serena's mind, Rollo was too young to survive as a rogue. If he was going to die anyway, she didn't want to make it easier for him to live, if that makes sense. This neglect started to become abuse. She would take her frustrations out on him, sometimes it would get physical before it would stop. I guess she felt as if her life would have been better if she had not gotten pregnant. One day she just left, and Rollo was alone. He didn't know how to hunt properly, and he was too small to take anything worthwhile down anyway, so he didn't really know enough to survive on his own. Something inside Rollo told him that his mother would come back eventually. I mean, she was heartless, she was selfish, but she wouldn't really leave him alone like that to die, right? Wrong. Rollo had hope up until he was near his end. After a day or two, and after already being in a weakened state, Rollo was close to dying. I would say it was pure luck that Kano happened to come back that day. The only reason he even came back was because he had nowhere to go and really wanted to sleep in a place where he didn't have to worry about other rogues or getting attacked, but he had no idea how bad things have gotten when he left Rollo there. Once he saw that Rollo was basically starving and almost dead, he couldn't just leave him there, so he took him back in. See, the thing is, Kano is awful. I'm not even gonna lie, he's just awful. He has a lot of issues, and, he doesn't handle them well, but Kano does care about Rollo. He even got angry when he saw how Serena left Rollo. So, yeah, Rollo was weak for days after that, even though Kano managed to find them both food. So they both lived as rogues, and Kano had learned enough while he was on his own to keep them both safe. It was when Rollo became a preteen, or around that age, that Kano was killed, and Rollo got the very first experience of having a spirit attachment connect to him. It was new, and it was scary. The powers that came with having a spirit attachment hit almost instantly, though. Rollo had to defend himself moments after Kano was killed, and to put it mildly, he ripped Kano's killer to pieces with this new power. See, okay, so emotions can impact how much power a spirit attachment has, and both Rollo and Kano's emotions were, very unstable during that incident, so it mixed, and it caused the power to grow. After Kano realized what they were dealing with, he started to think that this new power could be an advantage that they had over every other rogue at that time. Surviving would be, no issue, as long as Rollo stayed alive and didn't kill them both. I'm going to skip ahead a bit so that I don't spoil too many things. One thing I'd like to make known is that Kano did take over Rollo's body many times once he attached to Rollo. So yeah, yada yada, we skip ahead a bit. And Rollo is a teen at this point. A lot of rogues he ran into while surviving started to notice the power and ruthless attitude that Rollo had. So some rogues started to follow after Rollo. Rollo at this point, he was stealing from other packs to try to get by, and to try to make it so him and his little tiny pack could survive. When he did this, he met one of the pack's members named Memphis. Oh, it's Memphis. Memphis didn't try to stop him from stealing, in fact, he kind of encouraged it. But Memphis's brother found out and told the rest of the pack. So Rollo didn't plan to stick around long, but he was also kind of interested in Memphis too at this point. Memphis was also, really interested in Rollo too, but I don't want to dive too deep into the relationship, just because I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say that this was not the last time they saw each other up until they brought their packs together, so yeah. Anyway, let's continue. Finis and Bruvis were the main two that chose to stick with Rollo at first, but once he became a young adult, more started to notice his power and tagged along too. Kano kind of started to notice that Rollo wasn't able to handle the brutal part that came with running a pack, like enforcing rules, defending territory, all that jazz, and he took over when those situations came up. So it was like, Rollo had no issue switching out to let Kano do what needed to be done, especially if they were able to switch back from time to time. Rollo's pack clashes with Memphis's pack. They join forces, Temptress gets introduced, and the rest is history. If you don't know what happens after that, then I'd recommend checking out the series. It's still active. I'm working on it. I will link the playlist below. I can definitely say that Rollo changed as he grew, and changed even more once Temptress became involved. He didn't really know what love was, and it was a feeling he slowly discovered through his interactions with Temptress. Memphis ruined any chance of Rollo and Temptress having a normal family and a normal life. And Rollo ended up becoming really depressed when he found out that Memphis sent assassins after Temptress and, killed basically all of the pups besides Briar. I'm sure you can imagine how that would ruin someone's mental state, and it did. It was when Rollo found out that Temptress and Briar had survived that he started to have more hope, but he still wasn't free from Memphis, and they were constantly at each other's throats, planning attacks, trying to steal from one another, sending wolves to spy on each other. It was like one thing after another. Rollo started to put up a fight when Kano would try to take over at this point. This is how he knows what happens when two souls are fighting, and he mentions it in episode 8. He started to want to handle things himself rather than hiding in the detached zone whenever it got tough. It's when Rollo started to change his behavior that Kano stopped trying to take over, knowing that they would both just go into the detached zone. Kano took the back seat in their relationship and began to only take lead from the detached zone. He stopped taking over like he used to, but he would occasionally threaten it because, you know, that's Kano. Rollo still tried to make time to see Temptress and Briar, but he could tell that it was getting too dangerous to keep doing that. So, he decided that next time he saw them, he would send them somewhere more safe. It was one of the first times that he wanted to hide away again and let Kano take over, but he knew that he had to do this himself. It was time to be a big boy. Rollo knew that sending them away was risky, but he didn't want Temptress and Briar to live as rogues anymore like he had. He was trying to do the right thing, but, you know... He chose one of his pack members to escort them to a more safe place near the Pack of the South because he knew that he had an ally there. The member he chose was Ashes. Oh gosh. And, you know, Ashes did not do what she was supposed to do. So, Ashes basically was planning on joining Memphis's pack behind Rollo's back. And, yeah. She knew that there was one way that she'd be able to get in and gain Memphis's trust, so she had the idea to take Temptress and Briar straight to Memphis, rather than taking them to a safe place. And that destroyed Rollo. Rollo had found out, and he was just completely wrecked after that, because he thought they were going to get killed. He thought, this was it, you know, the last bit of family I have is just going to be taken and gone. But... once Rollo found out that Temptress and Briar escaped Memphis's pack, he was ready to send some of his pack to go get them and bring them back to him, but he thought that it would just cause them more harm. He wasn't really sure what to do. If he brought them back and kept them close, they would be at risk during the many attacks that Memphis sent after him. If he tried to send them to a safe place again, they could be taken back to Memphis. He just didn't want to get betrayed again, especially after the first time. So he decided to let them go. Kano didn't help with convincing him otherwise either. Kano was basically like, come on, let's just focus on this. Let's focus on protecting our pack, don't worry about them. He just wanted Rollo to focus on defending their pack. He was not worried about Temptress and Briar at all at this point. Again, I will skip past some things because it's explained in detail in the actual series. I will once again recommend just watching Reverse Tales to get most of what happened after that. But yeah, after Temptress didn't make it, and Briar reunited with Rollo was super hesitant on letting Briar back into his life, as was Briar, but Rollo decided it would probably be best for Briar to stay in the pack, especially since they shared a similar condition, you know, having spirit attachments. And that's about all I wanted to share about Rollo for now. More will definitely be revealed through the series, and trying to explain a lot about him without spoiling things is like a serious challenge. I do want to say one more thing about Rollo. I don't want to portray Rollo as this great character. Even if he's been through a lot of things that could explain why he is the way he is, he's still not a good character. He has flaws, like most of us do, and he hasn't always made the best decisions. I feel like if someone makes mistake after mistake, they can still have the chance to change, right? People grow, they learn, and sometimes they change, but sometimes they also don't change. It's about how we, the people who've been wronged, react to these things. Do we give the ones who have wronged us a chance to be good, or do we keep them away from us to avoid being wronged again? I personally feel that everyone deserves a chance to be good, and sometimes giving that person a chance can introduce a new, much better step in your relationship with them, but there are also times that even if you give someone a bag of chances, you run the risk of having them use every single one and still never learn. It's a tough thing to think about, and a tough decision to make. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I know it got a little deep there. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the character breakdown. I will be posting a poll on my Twitter to help decide which one I'll be working on next, and I'll also post one in the community tab. But yeah, all my social media, the episode playlist, it's all gonna be in the description. But yeah, keep an eye out for this poll, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.